You woke up this morning and the first thing your body told you was that it's losing. That dull, grinding pressure sitting right between your shoulder blades, the tightness crawling up the base of your neck the second you sat down at your desk, that is not a posture problem. That is not a stretching problem. That is your body sending you a distress signal, and most of you have been hitting snooze on it for years. Stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through is not a yoga routine, not a standing desk hack, and absolutely not the same tired advice your physiotherapist printed off a laminated sheet. By the end of this video, you'll have a 10-minute daily protocol called the microdose that you can start today, and it will do more for your spine than 6 weeks of standard physiotherapy. But first, you need to understand something the fitness industry doesn't want you to know. Because the moment you get it, you will never waste money on ergonomic furniture again. This is something entirely different. Let me paint a picture for you. It's 2:47 p.m. You've been at your workstation since 8. Your hips haven't moved in 4 hours. Your neck is craned forward toward your screen, about 3 inches further than it was designed to be. And right now, every centimeter of that forward lean is placing an additional 10 pounds of compressive force on your cervical spine. Your lower back, with deep muscles that are supposed to hold your pelvis stable, the ones that fire automatically when a primal organism moves through terrain, they've completely switched off. Not tired, not fatigued, switched off. This is called neuromuscular inhibition, and it is the silent epidemic of the modern professional. Now here's the false belief I need to break right now, because it is probably the reason you've been stuck in this cycle for months or years. You have been told that back pain is a posture problem. Fix your posture, fix your pain. Get a better chair, sit up straighter, use a lumbar cushion. That is wrong, completely demonstrably wrong. No ergonomic chair on earth fixes neuromuscular inhibition. No lumbar pillow rewires a dormant nervous system. No standing desk reactivates a posterior chain that's been asleep for a decade. The posture fix industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry built on addressing a symptom while the actual biological cause goes untouched. And the people selling you those chairs and cushions know this. They just also know that symptoms are easier to sell solutions to than root causes. Because the problem isn't your furniture. The problem is that your body was never designed to do what you're making it do. And the only way to fix that is to stop pretending we're not what we're not. If you're the kind of person who isn't interested in Band-Aid solutions, who wants to understand what's actually happening and fix it at the root, you're in the right place. This channel was built for you. Welcome to Primal Unleash. I'm Dr. R.S. Thorne, and this channel exists because of one truth that the fitness industry does not want you to sell you. Modern life makes us soft. Primal movement makes us unbreakable. We don't just lift weight here. We reclaim our nature. This is the Silverback standard, and today we're applying it directly to the thing that is quietly destroying the quality of your daily life. Your back, your spine, your body's central axis of power. Let's get into it. Here's what's happening inside your body right now, and I want you to actually feel this as I describe it, because knowledge without embodiment is useless. Your spine is not a column. It's a dynamic, living suspension system. It was built through millions of years of evolution to flex, rotate, hinge, compress, and decrease in function constantly throughout the day. Every time a primate moved through a complex environment, their spine is working, load-bearing through a hip hinge, rotating through a reach, decompressing through a hang. Your spine was designed for a life of movement variability. What you're giving it is 8 to 10 hours of static compression every single day. And what happens to any biological system deprived of its intended use? It atrophies. Now here's where it gets specific, and this is the part that most back pain content completely misses. There are 3 distinct layers of dysfunction happening in the body of the modern desk worker. I want to name them clearly because you need to understand what's actually dealing with before you can fix it. Layer 1, posterior chain shutdown. Your glutes, the most powerful muscles in the human body, have developed what scientists call gluteal amnesia. I know that sounds almost funny, but it is not funny when you're 47 years old and your lumbar spine is bearing load that your glutes were designed to absorb.
When you sit for extended periods, your hip flexors shorten and tighten, and in response, your central nervous system literally dials back the neural signal to your glutes. They stop contributing. And the moment your glutes stop contributing, your lumbar spine starts compensating. Every movement, every micro shift in your chair, your lumbar discs are doing the work your glutes should be doing. That is the ache you feel at the base of your spine at 3 p.m. That's not muscle soreness. That's a joint under load it was never designed to handle alone. Layer 2, thoracic rigidity. Your mid-back, the thoracic spine, is designed to rotate. It's where your body's rotational force is generated. But after years of forward screen posture, the thoracic vertebrae fuse together functionally. They stop moving independently. And when your thoracic spine can't rotate, your lumbar spine tries to compensate. And your lumbar spine is not designed for high rotation. So now you've got the wrong part of the back doing the wrong job under the wrong kind of load. Are you starting to see the pattern? Layer 3, anterior dominance. Everything in modern life pulls you forward. Your screen pulls your glaze forward. Your keyboard pulls your arms forward. Your steering wheel, your phone, your laptop, all of it trains your anterior chain to become overactive and shortened, while the posterior chain, your glutes, your hamstrings, your rhomboids, your lower and mid traps become progressively weaker and more inhibited. You are essentially a body that has learned to fold in on itself. And the longer it continues, the harder it becomes to reverse. Left unaddressed, this isn't just discomfort. We're talking about disc degeneration, chronic systemic inflammation, compensatory injury at the knee and hip, permanent reduction in thoracic range of motion, a body that moves like a liability instead of an asset. I'm not saying this to alarm you. I'm saying it because you deserve the unfiltered truth about what's happening. And you deserve to know that there is a real solution that actually addresses the root of it. So here's where we are. You now understand the 3-layer dysfunction driving your pain. And more importantly, you understand why everything you've tried before hasn't worked. It was never addressing the right layer. Coming up, I'm going to show you the biological blueprint that fixes all 3. And the most interesting part is, it's been sitting in a forest for 25 million years.
I want to share something before we get into the solution, because I think it's important for you to know that I came to this work through personal failure, not through academic theory. When I was in my early 30s, working 60-hour weeks, I had back pain that I genuinely believed was going to be permanent. I'd done the physiotherapy, I'd bought the standing desk, I tried the chiropractor, the foam roller, the mobility apps. Nothing lasted more than a few weeks. And the most frustrating part? Every professional I saw gave me a slightly different diagnosis and a slightly different set of exercises, none of which addressed the fact that I was spending 10 hours a day in a position my body wasn't built for. The breakthrough didn't come from a clinic, it came from watching a nature documentary about mountain gorillas. I know how that sounds, but stay with me, because what I'm about to describe is not metaphor, it is biology. Let me introduce you to the most structurally sound back in the animal kingdom, the silverback gorilla. A fully mature male silverback weighs between 300 and 500 pounds. He carries that mass through complex terrain, up trees, across uneven ground, through dense undergrowth every single day of his life. He doesn't have a physio, he doesn't have a foam roller, he doesn't follow a mobility program, and he does not have back pain. Think about what that means for a second. 400 pounds of animal moving through genuinely challenging physical environments for a 40-year lifespan. 0 back pain, 0 disc degeneration, 0 lumbar dysfunction. Why? Because his entire body is organized around one principle: functional load distribution through full chain movement. Every muscle group in the silverback's body is integrated. Its posterior chain is fully activated, fully powerful, fully connected to his movement patterns. His spine is never bearing isolated load. It is always surrounded, supported, and protected by an architecture of coordinated muscular effort. This is what I call gorilla strength, and I want to be precise about what that term means here, because it is not what you think. Gorilla strength is not about being big. It is not about barbell numbers or how much you bench press. Gorilla strength is the restoration of the dormant movement architecture that your body has always had and that modern life has methodically dismantled. It's the reactivation of the bracing and hinging mechanics that protect your vertebrae. It's the rebuilding of your posterior chain as a unified load-bearing system. It's the reclaiming of your body's primal function so that instead of a spine that's being slowly ground down by daily compression, you have a dynamically supported spine by the most powerful muscles in the human frame. And it starts with one movement, one that your body already knows, one that it has been waiting for you to remember. Stand up right now. I mean it. Get out of your chair, stand in front of your screen. Feet hip width apart, soft bend in the knees, spine long, not arched, not rounded, long. Now, and this is critical, I want you to think about sending your hips backward, not bending your knees, not rounding your lower back, hinging at the hip, like you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your glutes. As you hinge, keep your spine absolutely neutral. Your chest moves toward the floor, but your back stays flat. Your hamstrings will immediately begin to load. Now, squeeze your glutes and drive your hips forward to return to standing. That's it. That is the primal hinge. You just reactivated a neurological connection that has been dormant for potentially years. That single pattern, the hip hinge, is the most fundamental movement in all of functional human biomechanics. Every time a primal organism picks something up, navigates uneven terrain, or carries load across distance, it uses a variation of this hinge. And it is precisely this movement that desk work has deleted from your motor repertoire. Do that 10 times right now, slow and controlled. Every rep, think about the glues loading on the way back. Every rep, think about the glutes driving on the way up. What you just did in 90 seconds will do more for your lumbar spine than 6 weeks of standard physiotherapy stretching, because you've just begun to restore the movement pattern that your lower back depends on for protection. You've got the first piece, primal hinge, glutes and posterior chain back online. Keep that in your body as we move up the chain, because what I'm about to show you about your upper back is going to change how you think about posture completely, and it involves something most fitness content never touches. Now, let's go up the chain. Let me ask you something before we go further. When was the last time you hung from something? And not a gym set, not a structured workout. Just grab something overhead and let your body weight pull down on it. Most people I ask this have to think for a few seconds, and then they realize the answer is probably childhood, maybe longer. That gap, that complete absence of overhead hanging from your physical life, is the second major reason your upper back is failing you. Here's a fact that surprises almost everyone. Your latissimus dorsi, the large wing-shaped muscles that run from your mid-back down to your lower back, are actually primary spinal stabilizers, not just pulling muscles for rows and pull-ups, primary spinal stabilizers. And the only movement pattern that activates the lats in their full stabilizing function is hanging. This means that every year you go without hanging, you're progressively losing the single most important protective structure in your upper and mid-back. Think about what a gorilla does between ground movements. It reaches overhead, it hangs from branches, it pulls its body weight through three-dimensional space multiple times a day. This constant overhead and pulling activity creates traction on the thoracic vertebrae, activates the lats as primary spinal stabilizers, and keeps the upper posterior chain, the mid and lower trapezius, the rhomboids, the rear deltoids, in a state of functional readiness. You have none of that. Instead, you have a thoracic spine locked in a C-curve, a chest wall shortened from perpetual shoulder protraction, and an upper back so underactivated that your scapula, your scapulae, float free instead of sitting anchored against your rib cage where they belong. When your scapulae lose their anchor, your cervical spine picks up the slack, and your cervical spine, your neck, was not designed to act as a primary stabilizer. It's a precision instrument for sensory orientation. The moment it starts bearing stabilization load, you get the tech neck tension headaches, the radiating tightness into the upper traps, the chronic stiffness that never fully resolves no matter how much you massage it. So here's the intervention, and it is beautifully simple. Hang. Find a pull-up bar, a door frame bar, a tree branch, anything solid overhead you can grip and let your body weight pull down on it. I'm not talking about doing pull-ups yet. I'm talking about a passive dead hang. Grip, let your feet leave the ground or simply reduce your weight through your arms and let gravity do the work. Your thoracic vertebrae will decompress.
Your latissimus dorsi will engage as a stabilizing structure along either side of your spine. Your shoulder capsule will open. Your scapulae will retract and depress into their correct anatomical position. 30 to 60 seconds of dead hang 2 to 3 times per day produces genuine vertebral decompression that you would otherwise need clinical traction equipment to achieve. Now, from the hang, pull. The ape pull is a controlled, scapula-driven pull where you initiate the movement not from your arms, but from your shoulder blades. Before your elbows bend, think about pulling your shoulder blades down and together. You are training your mid-trap and lower trap to initiate the pull, rather than your biceps and upper trap, which is how most people row and why most people's upper traps are chronically over-tight, while their lower and mid-traps are chronically weak. When you train the full hanging and pulling pattern, you build what I call the brachiation shield, a thick architecture of upper posterior chain musculature that makes upright posture automatic, not something you have to think about, not something you have to consciously correct. Automatic, because your muscles now have the strength and neurological awareness to hold the position without effort. That is the goal, to make good posture the default state of your body, not the effortful exception. Now, I want to talk about something that most people, even most personal trainers, fundamentally misunderstand about spinal protection. I could have included this earlier, but I wanted you to have the first two pieces in your body first, because this one works best when you can feel how they connect to the hinge and the hang. Your spine is not just protected by the muscles around it, it's protected by pressure. Inside your abdominal cavity, there is a mechanism called intra-abdominal pressure, and it is quite literally the most important structural stabilization system your body has. When it works correctly, your abdominal cavity becomes a pressurized cylinder, like a rigid column inside your torso that takes the shearing and compressive forces off your vertebral discs and distributes them across the entire circumference of your trunk. Elite powerlifters understand this, high-level martial artists understand it, and every primate on the planet activates it instinctively during physical exertion, because it's not a technique you have to learn. It's a biological function that you've been inadvertently switching off. How? By breathing wrong. Shallow chest breathing, which is the chronic default state of the stressed, sedentary desk worker, fails to pressurize the abdominal cavity. The diaphragm doesn't descend fully. The pelvic floor doesn't respond. The transversus abdominis doesn't contract. And the result is a spine that is mechanically unsupported from the inside, a column with no internal pressure, trying to bear the compressive load of a full human body through 8 hours of sitting. Here's the correction. I call it the Silverback breath. Sit upright. Place one hand on your lower abdomen, just below your navel. Breathe in through your nose, and instead of letting your chest rise, think about pushing your hand outward. Send the breath down and out into your belly, your sides, and, this is the key part, your lower back. You should feel expansion in all three directions, forward, lateral, and posterior. At the top of the breath, before you exhale, create a brace. Don't suck your stomach in. Brace outward as if you're bracing against a gentle punch. 360 degrees of pressure. Feel your entire trunk become a solid, pressurized unit. That brace, that internal pressure system, is the Silverback's armor. Practice that for 5 breath cycles right now. What you're doing is retraining your diaphragm and your deep core musculature to re-engage as a unified pressure system. This is not a breathing exercise. It's a neurological rewiring of your body's primary stabilization mechanism. And when you combine that pressurized breathing pattern with movement, specifically with rotational patterns that mirror the way primates navigate through 3-dimensional space, you build a dynamic, functional core that stabilizes your spine not through rigidity, but through intelligent pressure management across all planes of motion. This is why the Silverback can lift and carry and move with absolute confidence, not because his abs are tight, but because his internal pressure system is always ready. So let's take stock of where you are right now. You've got the Primal Hinge, lower body posterior chain, back online. You've got the Brachiation shield protocol, upper back stability and decompression. And you've got the Silverback breath, internal pressure restored. 3 pieces, 3 layers of dysfunction directly addressed. Now I'm going to put all 3 together into something you can start running today. 10 minutes, no paywall, no sign up, because this is the content I wish existed when I was stuck. The microdose protocol.
10 minutes a day, built entirely on the principles we've just covered. This is not a workout. This is a biological recalibration designed to fit into the real structure of a professional's day. Movement 1. Primal Hinge Reset. 2 minutes. 3 sets of 8 controlled hip hinges. Focus entirely on glute activation and a neutral spine. Do this first thing in the morning before you sit down. You are firing up the posterior chain before the desk has a chance to shut it down. Movement 2. Dead hang decompression. 2 minutes. Hang from any overhead surface for 30 to 60-second sets. Do this after your morning hinge and again at your lunch break. Your spine will tell you immediately that this is what it needed. Movement 3. Ape pull activation. 3 minutes. 3 sets of 8 scapula first pulls, bodyweight rows, banded pull-aparts, or full pull-ups, depending on your current level. This builds the brachiation shield progressively over weeks and months. Movement 4. Silverback breath reset. 2 minutes. 5 slow, fully pressurized breath cycles. Use this before you sit down after any movement break. You are resetting your internal stabilization system before you re-enter static load. Movement 5. Thoracic rotation unlock. 1 minute. Seated or standing, interlace your fingers behind your head and rotate your thoracic spine slowly through its full available range, left, center, right. Not your lumbar spine, your mid-back. Keep your hips facing forward. 10 minutes every day. That is your starting point. This protocol will produce real measurable change in your pain levels, your posture, and your functional strength if you do it consistently, not occasionally, consistently. But here's what I also know from working with thousands of people on this. Consistency is the hardest part, not the movement, the consistency. When back pain improves slightly, people stop. When life gets busy, people skip. When the discomfort fades to a background hum, people forget that it was ever going to cost them something serious until it costs them something serious. And I want you to sit with that for one moment. Because the question isn't, should I do something about this? You already know the answer. The real question is what it will cost you if you don't.
At the current trajectory, without addressing the 3-layer dysfunction we talked about, the average desk professional loses approximately 15% of their functional lumbar range of motion per decade. That doesn't sound like much until you realize it means that by your 50s, you will be doing life in a body that is measurably less capable, less pain-free, and less physically confident than it was in your 30s. Not from a disease, not from an accident, from the accumulation of avoidable inaction. That is not a future you have to accept. What I've given you today is a foundation, a real one, and for some of you, this is enough to get moving and start feeling the difference. But for those of you who are serious, who are done with the temporary fixes and the perpetual cycle of slight improvement followed by regression, I built something specifically for you. Over the past 2 years, more than 4,000 professionals, architects, surgeons, lawyers, engineers, people who live at their desks, have gone through what I'm about to describe. The most common thing they tell me at the end of week 4 isn't my back pain is gone. It's I forgot what it felt like to move like this. That shift from managing pain to owning your physical capability is what the Primal Pivot digital coaching program is designed to create. Here's what it includes. A progressive 12-week gorilla strength training program structured specifically around the 3 layers of dysfunction we covered: posterior chain reactivation, thoracic unlocking, and intra-abdominal pressure development, built to take you from daily pain to functional power. Personalized biomechanical feedback, because the biggest mistake people make with these movement patterns is subtle, a slight deviation in the hip hinge, a breath pattern that's close but not quite right. Small technical errors that left uncorrected undermine the entire system. Inside the program, you get real feedback on your real movement, not a generic video correction. The microdose daily session library, over 60 sequenced movement modules organized by available time, specific pain location, and current fitness level, so that no matter what your day looks like, there's always a version of this work that fits into it. Access to the Primal Unleashed community, a group of professionals committed to this exact same transformation, where you'll find accountability, shared progress, and a standard of physical excellence that is rare in any online fitness space.
And the long-term neurological programming I consider the most important part of this work, because the real goal is not just to fix your back, it's to rebuild your relationship with your body, to restore the instinctive physical confidence that every primal organism has by nature and that modern life quietly takes from us year by year, degree by degree. The link to join is in the description. There's a founding member rate available right now, and it will not last. If you've been carrying this pain for months or years, I want you to ask yourself honestly, what is waiting going to cost you? Here's what I want you to leave with today. Your back pain is not a mystery. It is a measurable, understandable, fully reversible consequence of a lifestyle that has moved you further and further from the physical reality your body was designed for. You are not broken. You are dormant. And the dormant primate can be reawakened, not through surgery, not through ergonomic furniture, not through stretching routines that treat symptoms while the root cause continues to deepen, but through the reclamation of the functional movement architecture that is your biological birthright. The Silverback does not limp. The Silverback does not flinch. The Silverback moves through the world with a structural integrity that comes not from comfort, but from a lifetime of functional demand. That is what this channel is about. That is what the Silverback standard demands of you. Not softness, not accommodation to the conditions that are making you weaker. Modern life makes us soft. Primal movement makes us unbreakable. This is Primal Unleash. I'm Dr. Aris Thorne, and I'll see you in the next one. If this hit differently than what you usually find, share it with one person who needs it right now. Back pain is common. It doesn't have to be permanent. Drop a comment below with where you feel it most, lower back, upper traps, or neck. I read every one. I'll be in the replies. And if you haven't subscribed yet, every video I put out is built to this standard. No filler, no fluff, no recycled advice. Hit subscribe and hit the bell. We're just getting started.